Here today to give you some pointers on strumming. So this is going to be a beginner to intermediate sort of level lesson, quick little briefing. We're going to go through some concepts and we're going to talk about technique as well, of course. So first things first, with your left hand I recommend just keeping a chord down. It should be a chord that has all 6 strings in it so we can swing at all 6 strings. So I'm going to choose a G chord. If you find E minor easier, that's another good chord you can use. The first thing we'll talk about is your basic right hand approach. Pardon me. First thing we want to do is we want to avoid plowing through the strings. So none of that. None of that. We want to make sure that the pick is just kind of activating the strings or sounding the strings just by kind of dusting over them. It's a lot easier to plow through than it is to hold back, especially at higher tempos. So we're going to just skim the top of the strings, and that goes for downstrokes and upstrokes. Upstrokes are a little more tricky. It's a little easier to get caught up on that top string set. So downstrokes, we're going to do 4 beats of downstrokes on this G chord. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then we're going to repeat that a few times. It's also very important that you aim for your pick guard. It's quite natural. I'm going to turn to the side like this so you can see the angle better. It's quite natural for us to flick away from the thinner strings with our pick. It's important that you keep that pick flat against there and aim for the pick guard. You can probably hear the difference. Here's just the low strings. And then here's all 6. Okay, so that's another thing. So 2 things we're thinking about right now. No plowing. Right, no plowing. And making sure that we're sounding all 6 strings for now. Sounding all 6 strings by taking our pick and making sure that we're aiming for our pick guard, which is this little plastic piece on your guitar, and if you don't have one, well, that's where you're aiming for anyway. Just like that. We get downstrokes, 2, 3, 4, and of course for every downstroke we have to have an upstroke, right? We're just not sounding it at the moment. So what we're going to do, the next step, is to sound those upstrokes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and again I stress control. Don't be plowing through like that. That's not going to do anybody any good. Just like that. And as we speed it up. So notice I counted all the upstrokes as ands and all the downstrokes as the beat number. Beats 1 through 4, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, once you've got that down, the idea is to drop those ands in on different beats. For instance, we could go 1, 2, 3, and 4 and it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 1, 2, 3, and 4 and. Okay, so that's 2 downstrokes, beats 1 and 2, and then the 8th notes that follow, that's what they're called, the quicker ones, are counted with their ands. Beats 3 and 4. 3 and 4 and once again we get 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that's all we're going to really cover today. Here's a look ahead though. This is a look ahead to what you're going to be reaching for next. Right now we're strumming all the strings. And you'll remember somewhere through the video I kind of gave a little caveat where I said for now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to break the strings up into string sets. So we're going to talk about the lower 3 strings, and I'm not talking about lower to the floor, I'm talking about lower in pitch, right? and the higher 3 strings. And again, I'm not talking about higher towards the ceiling. I'm talking about higher in pitch, which on our instrument is backwards, right? The lower strings are higher up off the ground, and the higher strings are lower to the ground. We always talk in pitch. So low, high. So I'm going to take my G chord again. And now what I'm going to do on beat 1, I'm just going to strum the low component or the low string sets. It could be 1, 2, or 3 low strings for now. We'll get more precise later on. So I'm going to just kind of get the low 2. That's going to be beat 1. And then on beat 2, I'm going to strum the high ones. And then I'm going to repeat that for beats 3 and 4. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So now we've introduced this dynamic, again on your right hand, where we're getting the low component of the chord and the high component of the chord. If we incorporate the 8th notes, we can get something like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and where for beat 1, I'm sounding the lower part of the chord. Beat 2, I'm sounding the higher part of the chord. Beat 3 and 4, I've split into 8th notes. 3 and 4, and I'm again sounding the higher part of the chord. It's an important concept to kind of restate the lower notes on the 1 on the first beat of the bar. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and no matter what you're doing. So I'll mix some stuff up here, but you'll notice I'm always hitting on the 1 again for now. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I mixed up the 8th notes and the ands and all that sort of stuff, which may be a little beyond the reach right now, but that's what we're aiming for. All right, until next time, keep on playing.